As a prospective writer, I would urge you to not only
watch good movies, watch terrible movies
as well, because they can be more inspiring than the
good movies.
If you're inspired by
Good movies.
there is always the danger of plagiarism, of doing something that is too much like that.
Good movies.
Whereas a genuinely helpful reaction to a piece of work that you're
watching
is, Jesus Christ, I could write this. That is immensely liberating, to find somebody who is published who is doing much, much worse than you. And by analysing why they are doing so badly, this will immensely help your own style. You will find out all of the mistakes not to make. Why did this story offend me so much? Yeah, analyse that. Find out why you didn't like it. Find out all of the examples of clumsiness or bad thinking that spoiled the story for you. That will probably be a lot more helpful to your career as a writer.
I hope to become a great filmmaker someday. I think anyone who loves film as much as I do would one day wish to make films, be it on YouTube or in Hollywood. That's what I love about YouTube. It's a great place for people like me who live in the middle of a place where filmmakers don't usually come from and make their dreams come true. They can film, they can animate, they can edit, they can show the world just what they're made of. Not just you, not just me, anyone can do this. Now, I'm not much of an animator myself, but I would love to work in animation one day, make an animated movie or direct an animated TV series or something. I know I'm probably not the most qualified person, but hey, you never know. Rodney Dangerfield, the comedian, he made an animated film back in 1991 called Rover Dangerfield. Now, it's a bad movie, but my point is, a guy who had no experience in making an animated film made an animated film. So if he can do it, why can't I? And where Rover Dangerfield was clearly some gimmicky thing that he made, not as a passion project, but just for fun, I actually give a shit about the project that I would love to make someday. Forgive me if I come across as personal in this video, because I am. I do take this seriously, and while I've never talked about it before in previous videos, it's something I do work on in my personal time and would love to see happen someday. And it's also why I hate Bright more than any other movie. Now, keep in mind, when I say I hate this movie more than anything, that's not to say it's the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not even the worst movie I've ever reviewed. I'm pretty sure there's at least 10 movies I've reviewed that are objectively worse than Bright. The Land Before Time 13 is worse than Bright. Marmaduke is worse than Bright. The Pauly Shore Pinocchio movie, A Troll in Central Park, German Tarzan, all are objectively worse movies than Bright. Where German Tarzan is a completely worthless experience with nothing to gain from watching it, Bright has a couple of small things, just some tiny things that do bring it up to like a 2 out of 10 movie. And that's me being very generous. For starters, the film has a brilliant concept. The idea of humans and magical creatures coming together and just coexisting in a modern society, that's fucking awesome! I love this idea! It's something that's never really been seen before. Usually when you see humans and magical creatures living together, it's set in the medieval era with castles and knights and kings and shit. So to see them living together in modern times with cars and cell phones and stuff, it's genuinely neat. We don't see that. Growing up, I watched a number of shows with similar concepts. American Dragon Jake Long, The Life and Times of Juniper Lee, and in more recent years, Tales of Arcadia by Guillermo del Toro. Every show focuses on a young hero whose job it is to protect both man and magic and to keep them separate. Let me repeat that last part though. Keep them separate. That's what all these shows do when they're based in the modern day. Mankind and magic can't coexist because, well, the writers just say so.
We have to take it back.
But why? I don't understand.
Because the world of humanity is forbidden from knowing the world of magic.
Why? 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 Why, oh God, fucking why?
And look, I'm not dumb, I get it. Humans suck. If mankind found out about magic, that would open up a whole can of worms that would probably lead to the world blowing up via some dumb spell, all because some dude wanted to make his dick bigger or something. I don't know. Then in season 3 of Troll Hunters, suddenly humans learned about trolls and magic, and I was like, oh shit, so the secret's out now. Humans know about magic. Oh, that's insane. And this is Guillermo del Toro we're talking about, so the potential is there for something really cool. But no, the humans, for the most part, just forget it ever happened, and it's never explained why. And then that fucking movie happened, which brought in a bunch of time travel bullshit that just reset the whole show, so it never even happened anyway. Jesus Christ, don't even get me started on that bullshit. My point is, usually when you see man and magic coexisting in a way, usually humanity doesn't even know about magic at all, or when they do find out, the show will pull out some bullshit deus ex machina in order to reset everything so they don't have to deal with the repercussions of mankind finding out about magic. Seriously, I would love to see a movie or TV show set in the modern day that actually dealt with the fallout of mankind learning about magic. Man, someone should really make a show about that someday, huh? And that's why Bright really piqued my attention when it was first announced. As someone who's had this idea on the back burner of his mind for all these years, that's similar to what this movie is offering, I was hyped as shit. A gritty, R-rated fantasy with humans and magical creatures just coexisting in the same world together. There wasn't some event like in District 9 that suddenly brought them together and now they're forced to live together. They just do? Again, that sounds awesome! But then I watched the movie and I wanted to jump off a 30-story building. Sorry. Good things about this movie. The good things. There's like 3 or 4 good visuals here and there. Not the effects. The effects are fucking terrible, but the makeup is really good. The orcs in this film look really fucking good. You know, outside of the do-rags and the bling and shit. Oh my god. Honestly, makes the movie even worse when you take into account the film didn't credit their hard-working makeup artist. Nearly 60 makeup artists went completely uncredited for their hard work on this movie. What the fuck is that about, Bright? Apparently, it was a rare mistake on the studio's part, and they said they would go get it fixed. Well, I watched the credits, and they're still not there. After 6 years on the site. Yeah, okay, Netflix. But if you're worried they never got that credit that they deserve, oh, don't worry, they did. On a Facebook post. You can't make this shit up. I don't know about you guys, but if I spent over a year of my life working on the makeup of this film, and then I get my credit via a Facebook post that barely anyone saw, I'd be pretty pissed too. Sorry. Good things about this movie. Good things about this movie. Will Smith and Joel Edgerton actually have pretty good chemistry. I wish their characters were better, but they have some genuinely pretty funny moments here and there.
Show me another human face. What's another one? What's that face?
It's a human. Doesn't get any more pancakes.
We do like our pancakes.
I got a lot of
real.
There's a scene where they're hiding in a gas station bathroom, and it's actually a nice scene. They just sit down and talk about all the shit they've been through in their lives. How Jacoby always wanted to be a cop to disprove the stigma about his people, and how Ward always wanted to help others, but the years of being a cop have just worn him down to be the cynic that he is. It's a genuinely nice scene in a movie that honestly didn't earn it, but I do like watching Will Smith and Joel Edgerton. When it's just them shooting the shit, it's actually pretty enjoyable. I wish the whole movie was just Ward and Jacoby sitting down and talking to each other. It'd be infinitely more entertaining. Yeah, I know I said I'd focus on the good things, but that's it. That's all the good things I have. Will Smith and Joel Edgerton have good chemistry, the makeup on the orcs is really good, and it's a great concept on paper. Just on paper, though. I think that's why audiences were so forgiving when it came to this movie. Back when this movie first came out, critics were really hard on it, but audiences were a different story. Audiences loved it, and Netflix made that very apparent. Nowadays, a film getting released exclusively to a streaming service is nothing new, but back in 2017, the concept of a big budget Hollywood movie being released on a streaming service alone, that was unheard of. We hadn't seen anything like it yet. And pretty soon, the tinfoil hats started coming out of nowhere. There were accusations by people stating that critics were being paid off by big studios to shit all over this movie, also it would bomb, which is just ridiculous. Why the fuck would big studios want this movie to bomb? If anything, if it's successful, it shows them another way for them to make money, which, if the last few years have shown us anything, is true. But it didn't matter. People were fucking pissed. How dare those critics not let them enjoy the movie simply by saying it's not good?
How dare they be different? What? My way of life ain't good enough for them?
Now look, I get it. Rotten Tomatoes isn't always trustworthy. And if you actually enjoy this steaming pile of shit, then more power to you. But come on. Don't you think this was just a touch ridiculous? It's fine if you disagree with critics, but some people just took the shit way too far like this guy did.
But I discover that the critics, the professional critics, on Rotten Tomatoes, this has a rating of only 33%. Who it just sort of seems that maybe they're writing their reviews through the bottom of their gin glasses. I don't know, you know? Gin, old chap, I didn't like this film. It wasn't sophisticated enough for me. It didn't really preach a lot about, the white man's privilege, and I didn't like the fact that it didn't really try to go deep into some homoerotic subtext.
What? I have never heard a single critic ever give this movie shit for not having gay stuff in it. You're just making that up.
You know, it's like this is just a basic fantasy film.
Yeah, like preschool basic.
What it does well.
How?
And the fact that the audience are watching this and going, you know what, I enjoyed this, basically, again, highlights the fact that modern professional movie critics, man, I don't know what it is, but they're just not a reliable source of information on films anymore.
I mean, that's not a bad point, but it's kind of made irrelevant when you're making up what they said in the comments from this video. I swear, you'd think these people have just never seen a good movie before in their whole lives. I am delighted with your review, Fairy Lives Don't Matter Today. Howlingly funny line delivered so wearily. Bright was a great movie, creative and so new, it felt sort of like watching Indiana Jones or even Star Wars for the very first time. Sorry, but has this person ever even watched Star Wars or Indiana Jones? What does this movie have in common with either of those movies? I ask you. Watching Bright, I know that the overall lore of the world wasn't the main point of the film, but it was so good that I wanted to know more about the lore of the world. So you're admitting that the movie would be better if the lore of this world was actually included in the film? You don't know shit about the lore and yet you like it anyway? Why?
I think that Max Landis, who wrote this film, I think he should be given a crack at writing a Star Wars movie.
Well, that is sure poor timing, isn't it? Now, to be fair, this guy has called it out in the comments of that video, but man, just the fucking timing of this review, and then it's revealed that Max Landis is a piece of shit. It's pretty funny when you think about it, and in case anyone tries to pull a comment like this again, he admitted to being a piece of shit, he is a piece of shit. End of story. So Max Landis is the screenwriter for this film, and is also the true mastermind behind it, saying that he wanted this story to be his Star Wars.
I've gone ham on this. I really do. I want this to be my Star Wars.
The movie is also directed by David Ayer, who you've probably heard of before. He's worked on a few decent films in the past. He was a writer on the first Fast and Furious film. He directed End of Watch, which was actually pretty good. And he also directed...
Who's that?
All my friends are here to take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know.
Okay, now, to be fair, that wasn't David's fault. His version of Suicide Squad 2016 was practically already done, and then DC took his film, butchered it beyond belief, and then stitched it back together in a way which made no sense and nobody liked. Not even David himself. He's gone on Twitter talking about his experiences and frustrations, and you can really feel for him. Even though I wasn't a fan of that film, you can't really blame him for that. He seems like a really humble guy who just wants to make the movies he wants to make.
So when I first got Max Landis' script, he actually dedicated it to me, and apparently he's a student of my filmmaking because he really captured my voice. But the last thing I ever wanted to do was another Los Angeles cop movie. And then you get to the orcs and the elves and the fairies and all these incredible elements, and I've never seen that on the big screen. And somewhere along the way in reading this thing, I kind of talked myself into it, and I couldn't let anybody else have it.
Coming from someone who also wants to make movies someday, I can respect that. I like how he has no hard feelings against James Gunn or his Suicide Squad, so I gotta give him credit where it's due. He seems like a stand-up guy. It almost makes me want to spare this film. But I can't do that. This is a movie that has made me vitriolically angry for years, and unlike Suicide Squad, which was ripped from David's hands by DC, this is a different story. He had full control over this film, and it fucking sucks. And the fact that this movie was the movie so many people were willing to go to war over, it just made me all the more violent. Shit. And we haven't even gotten to the movie, have we?
I think there's a core theme to the movie in its own simplicity that will resonate with everybody. It's like, how do we treat other people? How do we prejudge other people? And why should we break those kind of preconceptions down? And why do we bully each other as individuals or as groups?
So being a white dude who lives in the deep red former slave state of Kentucky, whose senators are these two assholes, I'm probably the last person on earth who should talk about things like racism, police brutality, allegories, and all that shit, right? But to be fair, this movie was written by a white guy and directed by a white guy, so I think it's only fitting, right? But yeah, it's kind of what you'd expect from a movie about racism when it's made by two white guys.
You see those fuckers over there? They have done absolutely nothing wrong, but they're blue. I've always hated the color blue. You know why?
Why?
No reason.
So the movie begins with a dumbass quote from the movie itself. Like, we're supposed to understand what that even means. I get that we learn about this later, but it's not even a clever quote. It's just a basic fact about this movie's universe. I wonder what other great quotes this movie has to offer us. Oh wow, that's interesting. Gee, I never would have guessed that. Wait, what? So in the world of Bright, humans and magical creatures have always coexisted. Again, it sounds awesome, but these opening shots, man, you can just tell right away what kind of movie this is. Oh gee, I wonder what the message behind that portrait is.
But it even handles a topical and very contentious, or a couple of contentious issues really, but basically racism is one of the big themes. It integrates that theme, which is obviously a controversial topic, into this film without any social justice warrior preaching. It doesn't feel like propaganda, it doesn't feel forced, it's not like being hit over the head, you know, with a brick.
You know what? You're absolutely right, man. It's not like being hit over the head with a brick. It's more like being hit over the head with a fucking yacht. Wow. This is the world where man and magic coexist, huh? Because to me, it just looks like L.A. Because it is L.A. It's literally just L.A. It's even still named L.A. Why is it still called L.A.? In a world like this, cities like L.A. wouldn't exist. Or if it did exist, it wouldn't look like this. I mean, seriously, where are all the magical creatures? Oh, well, there's one orc. How magical. So another orc walks out of a store and just shoots our main character named Ward. Fun fact, we never see this orc again or learn why he shot Ward. I mean, orcs are supposed to be the gangbangers of this universe, which I'll go more into later. So I guess he just shot a cop because fuck the police, I guess. But again, we never see this particular orc again, so why did it happen? Especially when we just cut to Ward back on his feet anyway? You could have just had the orc rob the store and run away without a weapon, had a chase scene that ends in the same way the movie does, and nothing would have changed. Yeah, this damages his relationship with Jacoby, but it's established he already didn't like him anyway, so it just seems like a really unnecessary wedge between them that doesn't need to be there. Ward already dislikes Jacoby because everybody gives him shit for being Jacoby's partner and everyone's a racist prick.
I got a dude in my car. The whole world is watching. All right? I didn't ask for it. I don't want it. But I don't get a vote.
So, again, why do we start off with Ward getting shot when it doesn't even matter in the slightest? And yeah, some of you might think I'm nitpicking, and maybe I am, but we've only just got started with this shit. So Ward is back on his feet and is about to go back to work where we see Joe Rogan? The Joe Rogan. Would Joe Rogan exist in a world like this? I mean, I'm sure people like him would exist, but it's just Joe Rogan. What the fuck? Oh, but he's interviewing an orc. That totally makes it okay. That totally means we're in a world where humans and magical creatures coexist and is totally completely different from ours. Oh look, a bunch of humans and nothing fucking else. Man, how many magical creatures are actually in this movie? Well, we know orcs are in this world. Elves are also in this world. Fairy lives don't matter, but they are still in the movie. There's a centaur in one scene, so I guess that's 4. There's a dragon flying in the background of one shot, so I guess that's 5. I think lizard people called the Brezik are in this universe too. We don't see any, at least I don't think, so I guess that's 6. There's a reference to dwarves at one point, so that's 7. That's all I counted. According to the wiki on this movie, there's also giants, goblins, a race of creature called Panahu, I think? Even the fucking wiki doesn't know what that one is because it's not in the fucking movie.
According to the wiki, they are described as anthropomorphic walruses, so that means they likely would have looked like this. I'm now glad they're not in the movie, as it would give me nightmares.
There's also ogres, griffins, and wyverns as well in this universe, so counting the ones that don't appear in the movie, that's only 13. 13 magical creatures. That's all you've got? There's literally thousands of magical creatures at your disposal, and you can do whatever you want with them. Why aren't trolls in your universe? Or maybe water horses, phoenixes, chimeras, manticores, mermaids, krakens, literally thousands of creatures in your world where man and magic live together, only sports 13? And half of them aren't even in the movie?
Yeah. This world has elves, orcs, lizard people,
Betweer,
fairies. It's an amazing
Human beings.
Oh, really? Yeah, a few of them.
I honestly don't know how the wiki even came up with this shit. What the fuck? Seriously, it's just laughable. How do you create a world where mankind and magical creatures coexist, and yet only 13 species are confirmed to be in your world, with half of them not even showing up? I'm not saying I need to see every last one of them, but come on! A little variety and imagination is all I'm asking for, Max! Max, you said you wanted this to be your Star Wars!
I do. I want this to be my Star Wars.
Mommy,
This movie sucks.
Well, no wonder. It's all old and dried out, like that man right there.
Do you have any idea how diverse Star Wars is? How many crazy alien species exist in that universe? There's countless different species in that universe, and yet you can only think of 13? What is wrong with you other than the painfully obvious? Why are fairies seen as pests in this universe? Now, sure, fairies are very diverse creatures themselves that come in many different shapes and forms. Wouldn't it have been more interesting if you tried to link these creatures and what they're like in a modern day sense with their actual mythology? Fairies come from a variety of different cultures: Celtic, Slavic, Germanic, English, French, and so on. That's like 5 or 6 different cultures you can explore right there, but you just make them pests? Wouldn't a pixie have been a better choice since they're actually known for being pests in their mythology? Or does pixie lives don't matter today not roll off the tongue the same way fairy lives don't matter today? But hey, at least the line was delivered so wearily. Again, I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking here, but trust me, this is one of those movies where the more you think about it, the more it becomes clear just how bad the movie is. And this wouldn't be the movie I hate more than anything if I didn't dig deep. I'm running on 6 years of hate, and I'm driving this train off the fucking tracks if I have to.
Don't worry about me. Let's crip walk your asses on back to the barbecue.
Oh, so the Crips exist in this universe? Does that mean the Bloods exist too? I'll be sure to keep that in mind. Thanks, movie. So we then get to properly meet Jacoby, who is Ward's partner and the first orc cop in the entire country. Here we get to see them bounce off each other, and like I said before, it's one of the very few saving graces of this film.
Show me the face Orc makes when he just shut the fuck up and don't say shit and just drive to work. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Oh, you got that one.
Again, if the movie was just them sitting down and shooting the shit with each other, it'd be a way better film. Also, I love the fact that orcs invented heavy metal in this universe. Not because I'm a huge metalhead myself, but because heavy metal is usually associated with medieval stuff like fighting dragons and, well, let's just say I don't see any orcs rocking out the 3 inches of blood, okay?
Whoa, why are you going this way?
It's fine. It's a shortcut. You see, they're very nice here.
Dude, you can't go through Elftown.
Yep, the place where the elves live is called Elftown. What a great name. Tatooine would have been way better if it was just named Sand Planet. Ooh, and Coruscant should have just been named City World. And Kashyyyk? Forest Place. Hey, why isn't LA just called Human Town since there's nothing but a bunch of boring ass humans there? What, is there like an actual human town in real life or something? Okay, so there is a human town in South Korea, but I don't think it means what I'm implying here, so I'm not counting it. So in this world, elves are the upper class rich people who basically rule the world themselves. Now again, I like that idea. I like that humans aren't the dominant race on the planet, it's the elves, which makes sense since they live longer than humans, they have control over magic, they're just all around more powerful beings, so them ruling the world makes sense. The problem is that it's never fleshed out beyond just elves are rich and pampered, they own sports cars and have fancy clothes and all the Gucci, and that's about it. You know, I don't think we even go back to Elftown for the rest of the film. Why not? Despite its lame name, the potential is there for some great commentary, which is what this movie wants to make and nothing else. I think it's interesting that Elftown is strictly for elves and no one else, but orcs are seen working there in the background, working as janitors and chauffeurs. Back in the 1920s and 30s, there were these places in America called speakeasies. They were underground lounges that served alcohol during the Prohibition era. Now, these speakeasies would often hire black employees and black entertainers, but the real kicker is that usually these places, especially in the South, were white-only establishments. You had black musicians and black workers serving mainly white patrons. So again, the commentary is there and it's strong. In fact, I dare say this is the single most subtle scene in the entire film, mainly because it doesn't slam your head with a giant yacht over its commentary. The visuals are enough to do the job, and the audience isn't treated like they're brain-dead morons. It shows the disconnect between the upper-class elves and the lower-class orcs. It shows us the systemic oppression that's been created from this world and its history. But again, they don't do anything with it. We don't come back to this part of LA, we don't explore the modern-day relationship between orcs and elves, we just drive on and forget it ever happened. What was even the point of the scene if it doesn't tie into anything else in the movie? It just feels like a random scene meant for world building and literally nothing else. World building has to actually tie into the narrative. You do realize that, right, Max?
But yeah, Bright is kind of hard to explain because it's so simple. Basically, Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, mainstream Western fantasy, right? Elves, orcs, dragons, Warcraft does this. So many things do this. That was biblical times. I've gone ham on this. I want this to be my Star Wars.
It just feels like such a waste of a great concept. And it only gets worse from here, because this next scene has the subtlety of a 90s PSA. So we arrive at the police station with more humans! Oh joy! Not a single dwarf or giant in sight. That's fun. Yeah, that's really fun. We do see another centaur in the background of the shot though, so I guess that's 2 centaur we've seen in this movie so far? Or maybe it's the same one? I don't know. Maybe I'm the racist one, who knows? Oh yeah, in case you couldn't tell by now, everyone hates orcs. And I mean everyone. Like, seriously, can you think of a single sentence that these assholes say that doesn't have to do with hating orcs?
Where's the diversity hire you read with? Meanwhile, that orc fuck is still out there because Jacoby chose clan blood over the badge.
Or the motherfucker just got away.
He got away because Jacoby let him. Man, you know what they say. Once with the Dark Lord, always with the Dark Lord. They chose evil. You keep Jacoby the fuck away from me, okay? I'll drop an orc. I don't give a fuck.
Seriously, it's fuck Jacoby this, and I'll drop an orc. I don't give a fuck that. Like, geez, dude, do you not have a hobby?
Here's the thing I can't understand. How do a bunch of dudes who can barely remember their baby mama's birthday have beef with a whole race over some shit that happened 2,000 years ago?
You know, that's a really good question, Ward. Why do people hate the whole orc race for something that happened 2,000 years ago? We don't even give the German shit for something that happened less than 100 years ago. Even Max himself asked that question.
It's not a big deal. I mean, you know what they say about orcs. I mean, they were the servants of the Dark Lord, but that was 2,000 years ago. He's just an orc. He's from Glendale.
And how does the movie respond to it?
Have beef with a whole race over some shit that happened 2,000 years ago.
Here's the fucking deal, man. You keep Jacoby the fuck away from me.
Oh, just fuck them? Max, you couldn't even answer your own question. You yourself asked it.
Tonight's the trifecta.
Is that your cousin?
Full moon, Friday night, summer heat wave.
We get it, guys. They hate the orc. You can dial it back just a touch, okay?
No.
Yes. Put him in another car. Scratch him out. Scratch his name out. Put another name. Anybody.
Ward, no one wants to ride with you.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
It actually integrates it in such a way that it touches on the issue in a more meaningful and concrete kind of way, and it actually ironically will probably open up people perhaps to thinking maybe a little bit more deeply about those issues, because it doesn't jam a whole lot of SJW preaching down your throat.
Jesus, are you fucking kidding me? I love how he took that specific shot out of context to make it look like Jacoby's all sad and shit to get his point across, when in context of the film, It's a fucking first grade prank. I mean, you're gonna look me dead in the fucking eye and tell me this isn't beating you over the head with its message? The orcs and fucking do-rags isn't making the allegory all the more obvious? Orcs are metalheads in this universe. They should dress more like Rob Halford, not Tupac. It's just so on the nose, and frankly, that could be seen as a racist stereotype. You're really gonna place these ugly-ass orcs as a stand-in for black people? Keep in mind, the orcs are all bloodthirsty gang members in this universe. You don't need me to tell you why this is problematic. And no, I'm not overthinking it. It's blatantly fucking obvious. We literally cut to a scene where orcs are being brutalized by police. Gee, I wonder what this could possibly represent. As I said before, I like the idea. It's there, and with a proper team behind it, they could really work to make this feel realistic and believable. But as it is, it's just obnoxious. Everyone in this movie except for Ward's daughter just despises orcs because, hey, once with the Dark Lord, always with the Dark Lord. Once with Hitler, always with Hitler, right? Meanwhile, Jacoby is the only nice orc around. He's just so gosh darn innocent and wide-eyed and nice. He doesn't deserve all the horrible treatment that the other cops give him. Not like those other orcs who are actually criminals and shit. Yeah, this doesn't feel cheap or manipulative at all. Sorry, I meant to say this is very cheap and manipulative. Why is every orc other than Jacoby a gang member? Why does everybody hate Jacoby? Oh, that's right, I forgot.
'Cause fuck them, that's why.
Wouldn't it have been more believable if not everyone was a total douchebag in this world? Even our main character? Even he's an asshole. It's kind of hard to feel bad for him despite the fact that the movie literally started with him getting shot. We didn't know Ward before he was shot, so why should I give a shit? Especially when he's a pretty big dick himself.
Oh, and you keep doing all your gangster stuff. I'm just trying to sell my house. Don't worry about that.
You don't ever come here in that ever again.
Grandma's, we'll hop in, we'll give you a ride.
Shut up! This ain't no Uber, man.
Even the chauffeurs are snobs.
Did I ask you for advice? I'll probably wait till I'm on my 9th divorce. Then your advice will come in really handy.
I get that it's part of his arc, but he's also depicted as being the only cop in the whole precinct that isn't a racist caricature. But he's totally cool with orcs being brutalized and shit. He's also an asshole to Jacoby, just like the rest of the precinct is. He's even an asshole to him right in front of his daughter who likes him.
We're gonna go to Grandma's.
Grandma's, we'll hop in, we'll give you a ride.
Shut up! This ain't no Uber, man.
Don't tell Nick to shut up. He's a person too.
What I'm saying is, it's really hard to root for either of our main characters. Jacoby is just a pity case who only exists to be a punching bag you feel sorry for because, well, if you don't feel sorry for him, then you just might be racist too. And Ward hasn't done anything to earn our sympathy either except get shot. But he's still just an asshole anyway. And again, I get he's supposed to learn a lesson by the end about prejudice and shit, but he honestly doesn't. Not really. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll talk about that later. So to explain the history of this movie, about 2,000 years ago, a great battle happened where this evil elf called the Dark Lord... You know what? Palpatine would have been way cooler if he was just named the Dark Lord. I don't know. Palpatine just never stuck with me. I think he would be way cooler if he just didn't have a name. He was just called this extremely vague, boring, generic as fuck Dark Lord. This is his Star Wars, guys. He really means it.
I do. I want this to be my Star Wars.
Wow.
So anyway, the Dark Lord tried to take over the world because, well, fuck it, I guess, and the orcs joined his side. But all of the other races, get it? It's just like Lord of the Rings, teamed up in order to stop him. But now, there's this secret group called the Inferni who dreams of bringing him back to life because, well, apparently they just want to destroy civilization and bring back magic, which in the modern age is now illegal to practice. Why is it illegal to practice? Well, the movie doesn't really explain it. But thank God there's a YouTube video that explains it. Oh yeah!
Magic is as old as time itself. As early as 29th century BC, amulets, crystals, and other relics were used to perform acts of magic. Things changed in 26th century BC when the new Egyptian pharaoh Khufu used his powers to erect the Great Pyramids. The most powerful of these ancient wizards was Sargon the Great of Akkad. As the ancient tale goes, Sargon transcended mortality by blessing his own body with magic.
Holy shit, that sounds awesome. Why aren't we watching that movie? That sounds way better. Seriously though, what the actual fuck? I should not have to watch a fucking YouTube video to understand a movie's lore. That's absolutely ridiculous, especially when things like the ancient Egyptians and Sargon aren't even fucking relevant to the story. Also, what does BC stand for in this universe? It better not just be before Christ like in our world, because that would mean Jesus Christ was a thing in our universe, which would mean that Christianity is a thing in this universe too. Was Jesus Christ a bright in this universe? Because I'm not going to lie, that's a whole other can of worms I'm not even going to open. Also, the YouTube video is super vague and doesn't give a lot of details, like why magic is suddenly banned around the entire planet. The battle happened in 2109 BC, which would mean if BC does stand for before Christ like in our world, that would mean the battle was over 4,000 years ago, not 2,000. Jesus, even this YouTube video is fucking confusing. I can't follow it at all. And then we just jump to the 18th century? Which, by the way, isn't the 18th century. 1852 is in the 19th century.
By the 18th century, the 18th century, the 18th century.
This is 5th grade history, goddammit! Oh my god! Why did it take them so long to ban magic? We jumped from 2109 BC to the 19th century, and you're gonna act like nothing happened in that gigantic time frame? Oh, but World War II still happened in this universe. How would it be any different in this universe than in ours? Well, how should I fucking know? The video doesn't explain it. It only brings up the idea that atomic weapons were created with magic, causing the Magic Task Force, killer name as always, to be created to keep magic in check around the world. Now again, that's a cool concept. Using magic to create nuclear weapons, that's a cool idea, and I really wish the movie did more to explore stuff like this. Again, someone should really turn this into a TV show someday, huh? So Ward and Jacoby are sent to take down a crazy homeless guy swinging around a broadsword. Here they meet this other cop named Rodriguez, who is Mexican.
Thought you were out having your, like, zillionth baby.
Nah, man. Marisol's a week late. We're in Ducey next week, though. Number 5.
Ha! Get it? Because Mexicans have lots of kids. In a movie all about prejudice, stereotypes are funny.
Everywhere I go, live orcs always gotta be the bad guys.
Hey, don't look at me, man. Mexicans still get shit for the fucking Alamo.
What? The fucking Alamo happened in this universe? First of all, I've never heard of a single person ever give a Mexican shit for the Alamo. And I live in Kentucky where at least 10 of these guys live on my street. Secondly, if the Alamo happened, then that means slavery happened. How did slavery work in this world? Was it still black people like in our universe? Or was it the Orcs? Or was it some other race? Were centaurs slaves and forced to pull wagons? Were dwarves forced to work in the mines? Or is this just like everything else in this shit film and the implications of that statement were never once thought through?
I have gone to a degree that's like embarrassing full J.R.R. Tolkien on this. Like David's like almost kind of like low-key overwhelmed by it. There are sub-documents of each of the races that detail the history of this world on and on and on and on. I think I have like 30 pages of just talking about different rules and weird things and the races and nuances and the different stereotypes in the modern world about each one of the races.
I hate to break this to you, Max. I mean, this is your Star Wars after all.
I do. I want this to be my Star Wars.
Dude, what the f***? Why are you f***ing here, man? You're so old. Where's your wife? Go home to your family, dude.
But world building needs to do two crucial things. One, it needs to be plot relevant. Elftown is non-essential. We don't go back there for any reason, so you can cut it out of the movie and nothing would change. And two, if you're going for a world where everything is supposed to be different from our world, then you need to actually have your world be different from our world. You can't just drop magical creatures into LA and yet everything else remains the same. That's not how it would work at all. You don't have to explain every little thing. If your story has nothing to do with World War II, then ignore it. It doesn't matter. Except in this story, it actually does matter because that YouTube video said that it was because without World War II, the Magic Task Force wouldn't exist. So how does World War II work in this universe? Who would fight for which side? Would orcs team up with the Nazis or the Allies? Would the Nazis be even a thing? Was Hitler even a real person? How about the Soviet Union? Were they real? Was Joseph Stalin a real person? Did he jump on the back of a golem while Hitler jumped on the back of a dragon so they could fight to the bitter end in the heart of Berlin? Because I'm not gonna lie, that sounds fucking awesome. Also, wouldn't this be World War III? Since there was already a Great War with the Dark Lord over 4,000 years ago? Or is that like a 7 years war thing where it wasn't actually a world war even though it had armies from all around the world fighting in it? Yeah, even our history can be confusing at times, but you get my point. The Alamo happened, World War II happened. What else happened in this world? Did 9/11 happen in this universe? Does the Taliban exist? Was George Bush our president? Dear God, I sure hope not.
George Bush doesn't care about buried lives.
Imagine if Star Wars just suddenly brought up the Soviet-Afghan War or the Battle of Poltava. It'd be fucking weird, right? Although that would mean Sabaton would exist in Star Wars, and I would totally be down for that. But I digress. Holy shit, it's not just humans in the background this time. There's actual magical creatures there. Sure, they're just orcs, but still, color me shocked. So it turns out that the homeless guy is actually part of a group called the Shield of Light. Again, great name, totally not generic at all. Who was originally the army that faced off against the Dark Lord all those years ago. But nowadays, they're viewed by the government as, well, according to the wiki, eccentric activist, whatever that means. Again, you kind of have to watch that YouTube video to understand who they are, and considering how useless that video is already, that's not saying much. I guess they're supposed to be like the Order of the White Lotus from Avatar, you know, a secret organization that transcends all races and operates with its own personal agenda. Look, sorry to sound like a broken record, but again, sounds like a cool idea. I like a secret organization that doesn't trust the government, believing it to have its own agenda, so they operate within themselves. Again, a cool concept, but it's just not fleshed out. The only time we hear about these guys again is near the end of the movie before the final fight. Now look, I get it. This is kind of meant to be a smaller story about these two cops who just get caught up in all this shit, but considering how big the stakes are for the world that's been set up, I don't know, it just seems like all of this stuff is too important to be skimmed over. Why are we learning about all this important information without our main characters? Here we learn about the Inferni, their plan to bring back the Dark Lord, and who is the main antagonist, but it's from some asshole who we never see again. Our main characters don't learn about the Inferni or who Layla is until near the end of the movie. And even then, there's zero connection between our main characters and the antagonist. Like, I don't think they even learn each other's names. Again, I get the whole point is for these two cops who do have nothing to do with anything, just stumble into the story, but there still needs to be a connection. Why not have it so where Layla was the one who shot Ward in the beginning? That would establish a connection with the two main characters, and it would still feed into the conflict between the two of them. Ward would want revenge for being shot, and Jacoby would see it as an opportunity to redeem himself in his partner's eyes. It's a simple motivation, but it checks out. Oh, but that wouldn't tie into the prejudice message of the film, now would it? Some of you might be asking, well, why would Layla want to shoot Ward anyway if she doesn't even know him? We don't even know why that orc did it in the first place. He wasn't robbing the store from what we saw. He just felt like feeding Ward a buckshot sandwich. Like I said before, we never find out who that guy is or why he did it. I guess it's safe to assume he did it because fuck the police, but that's not compelling, especially when he's never even caught. It's just a random act of violence meant to get the film started, but it's completely pointless. How much more interesting would it have been if we saw that picture of Layla and then we'd go, but no, this is our very first time hearing about her, and it's also exposition, which any competent filmmaker will tell you spits in the face of what film is supposed to be. Show, don't tell. Show us how dangerous the Inferni or Layla is. Don't have some random asshole who we never see again just explain it to us. That's bad filmmaking.
They're gonna bring back the Dark Lord.
How do they plan to do that?
When they get 3 magic wands, they can raise him from the dead.
Yeah, that's an irrelevant fact. We never see 2 other wands, so why is he even bringing it up? Wouldn't the Magic Task Force already know this fact? See, this is the problem with exposition. Usually the characters already know the information that's being exposited to the audience, so it just feels like a waste of time that the characters wouldn't make. Again, show us the information. Don't just have some random asshole spit it out. This is basic filmmaking 101. Jesus Christ!
You ever notice how most brides are elves? And elves run the world? Coincidence?
There are human brides.
1 in a million.
Oh, so there are human brights, huh? Boy, I sure wonder if we'll see any human brights in this movie. I mean, it's not like the movie basically just spoiled the way the movie ends already.
Now, some people I know are going to complain about perhaps the fact that the twist with Will Smith. Oh, I saw that coming. Max Landis, who wrote this film, he made no attempt to hide that at all. This is not a secret twist. There's no twist there. And the thing is, you couldn't really hide that anyway. If you'd hidden that, and it had happened, he'd picked up the wand at the end, we all would have been going, oh, what? This doesn't make a lot of sense. It wouldn't have, I don't think it would have actually made much of a difference at all. It wasn't like, oh, I saw that coming, because, yeah, of course you did, because the script's written in such a way as to clearly hint at that fact.
That's not a good thing, dude. That's not a good thing at all. You're giving the writers credit for just giving up on the twist. Maybe if we saw or at least heard about other human brights that did exist, then maybe they could have covered up their tracks better. Maybe the twist would actually feel organic with the world building and story. But no, just keep jerking off the filmmakers because, well, it was never intentional, so clearly the writers were doing something right. Or maybe they just didn't try because they couldn't be bothered to make the twist work. So in this world, brights are the ones who can use wands. Usually only elves are brights, but occasionally 1 in a million humans can also be a bright too. Wonder if we'll ever see one. It's revealed that Layla herself is a bright, and this guy's been hunting her for 20 years. And his name is... Candomir? Well, at least there was an attempt at a creative name.
But you know how you know if you're a bright? When you touch a wand with your bare hand and don't explode.
Yeah, remember that statement. Because the movie will forget it.
2,000 years ago, magic stopped him.
You mean 4,000 years ago. Sorry, but until someone clarifies what BC means in this universe, I'm gonna call bullshit. Every time if I must.
One day you all are gonna come begging for our help, and we'll be there. We'll stop him.
If you act like my enemy, you become my enemy.
How? How is that acting like your enemy? He said that he and his people would fight the Dark Lord, so unless you yourself are part of the Inferni, he's actually on your side. Care to explain anything, Candomir? So Ward and Jacoby respond to a call which leads them to the Shield of Light's hideout. Here they find an elf girl named Tika who can't speak English yet. It's also revealed that she has a wand and was responsible for the disturbance. So Ward calls for backup, but when the other cops show up, they decide they want to steal the wand for themselves. Even though they can't use it. It was just established less than 10 minutes ago that only brights can use the wand, and anyone else who touches the wand with their bare hands will explode. Yeah, the porn star picks it up with a glove, but that doesn't mean he can use it. Oh, and what a surprise. The one-dimensional assholes are gonna be one-dimensional assholes. Gee, who would have seen that coming? Me. I saw it coming. So the cops turn out to be corrupt, big shock I know, and they want to steal the wand for themselves to make their dicks bigger. I'm not kidding, by the way.
Make your dick bigger?
You what? I mean, yeah, they say other things, but honestly, that's all you need to know. And they also want to kill Jacoby.
'Cause fuck them, that's why.
And they want Ward to do it. Not sure why Ward has to do it. I mean, the others are already threatening to kill him anyway, so why don't they just do it themselves? Oh, but then it turns out they're just gonna kill them both anyway?
So what's the real plan?
2 cops died tonight.
What's even the point then? Just kill them both and be done with it.
You're all a bunch of fucking idiots!
So before he kills him, Ward asks about the shooter from the beginning of the movie. It's believed by just about everyone that Jacoby purposefully let the shooter go because of a clan thing that orcs have with each other.
That's clan law shit, dog. Orcs got each other's backs. That orc fuck is still out there because Jacoby chose clan blood over the badge.
Or the motherfucker just got away.
He got away because Jacoby let him.
Jacoby kicked loose that pigskin fuck who blasted you. Do the math.
Orcs hold clan law above all else. That's a fact.
This was the movie's way of trying to give everyone an excuse for being one-dimensional caricatures, but even if they had a point, they still bring up shit that's irrelevant, like that war that happened 2,000 years ago, or 4,000 years ago, or last Halloween, or whenever the fuck it happened, I don't know. They still use racial slurs to describe him anyway, and they made it clear that they don't like Ward anyway, so it's obvious they don't care if he did it or not. They're still just one-dimensional racists because the movie doesn't know how to write real fucking people. Not to mention that, along with Jacoby, they're just gonna kill Ward anyway for no real reason other than, well, he's not as racist as we are, so fuck him too. I guess. Like, man, what is this shit? The DARE program? This is not how you write racism or prejudice. Again, the blueprint is good. I can see how this would work, but it feels like it was written by 90s PSA groups. Again, I know I'm not the best person to talk about it, but racism is a very multi-layered and intricate topic to discuss. But there are great movies out there that do capture the complexities of racism well, and one such movie, which is basically everything this movie should have been, is Zootopia. Yeah, I'm not kidding. The movie about a bunny rabbit who wants to be a cop is everything Bright wants to be. It's Bright done right. Hey, that rhymed. I mean, think about it. The movie is about a rabbit who wants to become a police officer, but from day one, she's looked down upon by her fellow officers because she's a rabbit. Just like our first orc officer. And also like our first orc officer, Judy was hired as part of a mammal-inclusive initiative, meaning that she is considered a diversity hire, meaning that she was hired less because of her skill and more because of what her species is, and hiring her makes for good publicity. And yes, this is both something that's brought up in Bright and also exists in the real world too, sadly. But where Bright just kind of skims over that in exchange for how to be a caricature 101 classes, Zootopia actually shows us how hard it is for Judy at first. She's put on parking duty, she gets reprimanded despite catching a criminal, but you never feel like it's just because she's a rabbit. She's new to the force, so it makes sense to give her an easy job. Chief Bongo does bring up the fact that she's a diversity hire, but it's only this one scene. They don't beat you over the head with it with a yacht. Along with that, most of the other cops don't seem to give a shit if she's there or not. Some cops are actually really nice to her and welcome her with open arms. It's a good counterbalance to the chief who gives her a hard time. Imagine if we got that in Bright, where there were people who actually respected Jacoby and were nice to him. It'd make the world feel way more believable.
One way to create a imaginary world is by considering its texture, because this is one of the first things that the reader will be looking for. They will want this to feel like a real world. And what I mean by texture is all of the trappings that we find around us in society that we barely notice. Advertisements, scraps of news broadcasts, television programs, scraps of songs on the radio. All of these things that make up the texture of our lives. If you want to create an imaginary place, try faking some of that.
I know some people will hate me for saying this, but not every cop hates black people.
Bring it to my face!
I'm sorry, but it's true. Some of them are actually cool people who just want to protect their communities and make the world a better place. Same with the other orcs. If we saw orcs who were cool with police and being friendly to them, then the message about prejudice you're going for would come across a lot stronger, because then not every orc would fall into the stereotypes that you yourselves put them in. Also, can we just talk about the world building in Zootopia? Because it's freaking phenomenal. Zootopia feels like a real place that would exist in the world that it's set in. Every inch of the city feels like it was designed with every animal in mind. Rodents have these little pipes they can travel in, buildings are all made big enough for any animal to be in, and there are sections of the city made specifically for certain animals. There's a tundra section for animals who live in the tundra, there's a desert section, a jungle section, a rodent section. You can tell the people behind Zootopia really thought out the city inside and out. And unlike in Bright, we actually get to see these places. We go to the tundra section and the jungle section. Sure, we don't see all the places, but you still get the feel that Zootopia is this vast, lively location that's believable in the world it's set in. Compare this to Bright, where it's just LA and nothing else. We don't go to any unique location that would only exist in the world like this. Even Elftown is just downtown LA. That's literally all it is. We don't go into any businesses or unique parts of the city or the outdoors that would make this world feel like its own world. The closest thing I can think of is the Orcs hideout later in the movie. It's the one location that actually looks different than anything else in the movie. But other than that, this movie is so fucking boring to look at and think about. It's so dark and dreary looking, which I get it. It's a gritty, R-rated film that takes place at night, but half the time you can barely make out what's happening. Editing is atrocious. There are these really awkward long shots in the film. Like, why are we here? Why is the camera in this position?
Good to see you.
Boy, I'd love to see how these actors are performing. Maybe zoom in just a touch. There you go. Hey guys, you know Will Smith is saying things in the shot. Maybe cut back to him to see how he's reacting, how he's acting. Just once? I can accept the lack of color and how everything is desaturated since that's the tone the movie's going for, but I still need to be able to see what's happening. With editing that's not incomprehensible, or these slow-mo shots that are just too silly to take seriously. Like, lady, what are you doing? You weren't shot yet. Now you've been shot. See, now I'm nitpicking, guys. That's a nitpick. Everything else, though, no. They were not nitpicks. The movie really is just that broken. So Jacoby reveals that he really did lose the orc who shot Ward, but he did run into another orc who was a teenager. And Jacoby, believing the cops would just shoot him down the spot because they're just that racist, decided to help him escape instead. Choosing to believe Jacoby, Ward puts down the corrupt cops. It's from this point here that the story just goes on complete fucking autopilot, because for the next 20 so minutes, there pretty much is no story. So after killing the corrupt cops, Ward and Jacoby decide to take the wand to the Magic Task Force so they can handle it. But then, I shit you not, a Latino gang called the Altamira shows up. I repeat, a Latino gang called the Altamira shows up. A Latino gang. You live in a world of fucking magical creatures who live side by side with humans, and the best thing you can come up with is a boring, generic as fuck Latino gang? I mean, look at them! Not a single magical creature anywhere again. No elves, no orcs, no dwarves, just fucking normal, boring ass humans. Again! I am so fucking sick of this movie's boring fucking shit. Oh my god! As I said already, you can do whatever you want with any magical creature. You can do it all. There's thousands of choices. And you choose a boring, basic-ass gang. It's not even the orc gang we saw earlier. No, it's just more boring fucking humans. Why am I even watching this film? Why don't I just watch End of Watch again to see human gangs fight? Or Bad Boys, or Boys in the Hood, or fucking anything else? So, yeah, the Altamira wants the wand even though they can't fucking use it. Remember? When you're not a bright and you pick up the wand with your bare hand, you fucking die? And yet, for the next 20 minutes, the Altamira will desperately chase after our main characters all so they can get something they can't fucking touch. You wanna know what the worst thing is? The movie actually tries to rationalize why everyone is such a dipshit when it comes to the wand. So earlier in that interview with the homeless guy, he reveals that he would touch the wand because...
Would you do that? Would you die? Learn the truth about yourself? If I had a wand, I'd try.
Well, that's fucking stupid. Like, I get it. With a wand, you can do literally whatever you want with it.
Make your dick bigger.
But the odds are extremely against you. It's a 1 in a million chance. And if you're wrong, you fucking die. Sorry, but that's fucking stupid. Do you think people would buy lottery tickets if there was only a 1 in a million chance of winning, and if you lose, you'd blow up? No, I don't think they would. Unless they were stupidly desperate. Or just plain stupid. Oh, RaisorBlade, that's not fair. They can't develop everything. Well, exactly. Exactly my point, my friend. We're 45 minutes into this 2-hour movie, and we're only just now meeting this gang, and then 5 minutes later at the 50-minute mark, we finally meet the Inferni and Layla, face to face. Yeah, it takes almost an hour in this 2-hour movie to finally meet our main antagonist. That is just ridiculous. Also, just gonna say this, Layla's the weirdest fucking character I've ever seen. She looks like she's having an orgasm in every scene that she's in. Like, what are you doing? Why are you sniffing his head? None of the other elves act like this. Why are you so weird? So the movie wants to show off just how evil the Inferni is by having them murder a random family we've never seen before. Even the baby is killed. Like, what the fuck? We've never even seen this family before. We don't know who they are. I don't care about this baby. Fuck that baby. Ward and Jacoby already have a higher body count than these people anyway, so why should I be intimidated by them? Why should this work exactly? Actually, looking back on that scene, it's probably the funniest scene in the whole movie. They're busy interrogating the family, but then the baby starts crying, so they're just like, well, you might still have some important information for us, but your baby started crying, so... gonna murder it now. Wait, what? What the fuck was that? Did anyone else notice that weird as fuck edit? Why did they edit that? What was there to even edit? Nobody moves like that naturally. That was an edit. What even is this movie sometimes, dude? I swear. So Ward and Jacoby hide in a building, but then they're just discovered. Don't ask how.
I dropped the one! I got another fucking dungeon!
Again, this proves my point. How stupid are these people? They know good and damn well what's gonna happen to them, and yet they do it anyway. What fucking idiots! Quick question. Why doesn't Warden Jacoby just give them the wand? Seriously, they just witnessed firsthand what would happen to all of them if they touch it, so why not just let them touch it? We're way past self-defense at this point, and if one of them does end up being a Bright, then just shoot them. Just because they're a Bright doesn't mean they're bulletproof. So Warden Jacoby end up at a metal concert, a place I wish I was at right now, and think it's just a great idea to just strut through the fucking mosh pit. Like, do they not know what a mosh pit is? I also love how no one gives a shit about two bloody cops just walking around with a shotgun. Like, maybe have a little concern? Just a little bit? Nah, they're just too busy having a good time and doing crack. Just crack. Just boring, normal fucking crack. Nothing magical or unique about it. It could be any magical item, like fairy dust or black meat, but no, just normal fucking crack will do. This movie didn't even try to have an imagination, did it? Did it? Well, what the fuck did you think would happen when you just walked through a mosh pit? Why didn't they just stick to the walls if all they're trying to do is get to the other side? Why are our main characters suddenly idiots? Oh, but they find Tika less than a minute later anyway, so what was even the point of that? It's like the writer of this film went, and while being smacked around by the awesome mosh pit, our main characters lose the one they're trying to protect. But then he realized that made them look like idiots, but instead of hitting the backspace button like any rational human would do, he just added, oh, but they get reunited anyway because it's a gnarly party, so it's no big deal. What did he say he wanted this franchise to be like again?
I do. I want this to be my Star Wars.
Oh yeah, what a joke. Not a good one, but what a joke. How the fuck did they find them again? Seriously, what, do they have like a cop GPS or some shit that helps them find our main characters wherever they go? Like, what the fuck? So Warden and Jacoby get a change of clothes in order to hide in plain sight. They don't wipe the blood off their faces though, so that's kind of weird. The gang already knows what you look like, so that's not gonna do much, honestly. Also, they go into a strip club when they know they're being chased by a deadly gang that somehow always finds them wherever they go. Ward even tells some people to get out like he knows they're gonna be found again. And then they are found again.
What the hell is even that?
Seriously, I don't know what's worse. The fact that this gang always just magically finds their main characters no matter where they go, or the fact that they willingly went to a public place full of innocent bystanders knowing they were going to be attacked. Aren't you guys cops? Shouldn't you be protecting people from that gang? Ward was telling people to get out, which means he knew there was going to be a shootout. Why would you go into a place full of innocent bystanders who could die? That's honestly really fucked up, dude. And it's not like he warns everyone about the upcoming shootout. He only warns like 3 people. And he's not even in his uniform anymore, so God knows if they even listened. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen, the guy who knowingly lures gangs to public places so innocent bystanders can be used as meat shields. What a great guy. Jesus, it's bad enough they knew what building they were hiding in. They know what fucking counter they're hiding behind. They really do have a cop GPS somewhere, don't they?
You want to do the right thing? Help me walk again. Help me make love to my old lady again. Help me get rid of this shit again.
So, am I supposed to feel bad for this guy all of a sudden? The guy who's done nothing but try to murder our main characters and has attacked multiple public locations and possibly killed many civilians all over a wand that he can't fucking use? Oh, that poor gang leader! Pretty weird to suddenly try and make him sympathetic, movie. It's not happening.
Let's get this motherfucker the wand. What? Look, we're gonna get everybody in here killed.
Oh, now you care about everyone in the building. You led them there! You knew they would find you! Too late to suddenly just play the hero, Ward.
Let's get this motherfucker the wand.
I'm not giving that guy the wand.
Why the fuck not? You know they'll just blow up! They're all in one spot, dude! It'll be over in like 2 seconds! Just give them the fucking wand, Jacoby, you moron! But it doesn't even matter because suddenly Layla and the Inferni show up. Yeah, somehow they just found out where to find our main characters too. Last we saw them, they were busy murdering babies. And it's not like the family told them where they went. How would that family even know? How does Layla and the Inferni know? So yeah, the Inferni murder everyone in the club, including the gang members. They don't team up with the Inferni. They don't escape and come back later. They're fucking dead. Now, you're probably wondering, just what purpose did they serve, other than just chasing around our main characters for 20 minutes? Again, 20 minutes. In a movie that's less than 2 hours, including credits, that's a pretty long time. This gang is introduced to us at the 45-minute mark, and is then killed off at around the 1 hour and 5-minute mark. Did we just spend 20 minutes of this less than 2 hour movie doing absolutely nothing? Because I think we just did. We just watched our main characters go from random location to random location to random location, being chased by random thugs who have nothing to do with the rest of the movie. It's bad enough that this movie needs a fucking YouTube video to explain its world's lore, but you wasted 20 minutes of your movie, about 1/6 of it, with random pointless action and random pointless antagonist. We don't meet anyone important, we don't go anywhere important. The Altamira show up again, and then they fucking die. That's all they fucking do. What was even the point of all that? Why wasn't the Inferni the ones that were chasing them? They're the actual main antagonists. They're the ones that can actually use the wand, so there's actually a threat when they get it. But no, we just wasted precious time that could have been used developing our main characters, exploring the world and its lore, establishing an actual connection between our main characters and the actual antagonist. But no! It's obviously way more important to both our director and our screenwriter to just have dumb action sequences and boobs. Who cares about making interesting characters or having a cool world to explore? Let's just go to a fucking strip club to go see some titties. Oh, and let's have some shootouts with blood and stuff. That'll be really cool and edgy. It honestly feels like this movie was written by a 13-year-old.
Well, it's interesting because it's him doing him, but it's also him doing me.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? So it's a little bit sweeter. It's a little bit more talky. And the action, when it comes, is insane.
Well, I'm out, guys. If this is what's cool now, I think I'm done. I no longer have any connection to this world. I'm gonna go home and kill myself.
This is just mindless. It's idiotic. Like, there was genuinely no thought put into this movie at all. Not into the characters, the themes, the message, the action, the story, the world building, just anything. Ugh. Can you see now why I hate this movie more than anything? And we're only halfway done. Now I know good and damn well this $90 to $106 million film did not just use those stock sound effects that you can find on YouTube. So after Ward, Jacoby, and Tika escape the strip club, we get the one good scene in the whole movie. After all that pointless action and dumb shit, it's actually nice that the movie wants to take a break from it all. It's just two actors with actually good chemistry just sitting down and talking about their problems, and I like that. I mean, it's not going to win any awards, and the scene honestly feels pretty unearned, considering most of the film up to this point has either been an obnoxious prejudice PSA or just mindless violence. But I don't know, the writing of the scene, the acting, it almost feels like the scene was cherry-picked from another movie and then just dropped in here, just like everything else that's magical related was.
If I'm supposed to be your partner, I don't care what we'll say to them, but you gotta tell me the truth. You can't lie to me.
Also, I'm supposed to trust you when you don't trust me.
That's a good point.
It's a good scene, and I'm glad it's here. It's a break from all the unrelenting awfulness of this film. But sadly, we have to finish the movie. God, just make this shit stop already. So Ward calls the Alamo guy, and yes, I will call him that, to help them out, believing him to be the only straight cop he knows.
The guys on our watch tried to do us over a wand. We have a wand. We have a magic wand.
Do you have a wand? I couldn't hear you. Maybe if you say it 10 more times, I'll still need to hear it again.
All right, show me the one. Don't show him shit. He's gonna shoot us and take it.
Wait, now you're doubting him? It was your idea to call him, Lord, so what the fuck?
We're gonna call Rodriguez. He's the sheriff. He's not LAPD. He's solid as fuck. We can trust him.
Is it really that hard to proofread your script before you turn it in, dude?
I've gone ham on this. I want this to be my Star Wars.
Clearly you don't. So the Alamo guy calls the feds, but the Inferni are able to track the call, and then they...
Yo.
Cut the telephone wires to a cell phone? So Alamo wants to put them both in handcuffs, even though the feds said they'd be perfectly fine since they killed the cops in self-defense. Funny how they just believed him, though. But then the Inferni kill Alamo, leading to a fight scene where both Ward and Jacoby are in handcuffs. Never mind, Tika gets them out of them right away. What was even the point of all that, then? So the Inferni attack them and try to steal the one back. Jacoby gets smashed by a car and is perfectly fine. I mean, I get it. Orcs are very strong creatures, but I mean, damn. They took his ass for a ride. Holy shit. Sorry, I just think it's so funny that the Inferni were able to wipe out a whole gang with, like, no effort, but now they're struggling to kill these 3 people who are already injured and exhausted. Plot armor is thicker than Jacoby's ass, so they blow up the gas station and manage to escape, leading to this.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
Wow, what a badass. That guy, who the fuck is that again? I don't think the movie ever even told us. What does the wiki say? Now I know good and damn well his name ain't fucking Seraphim. Fuck out of here with that name. So our main characters are running when, what the fuck? How do people keep finding them? This is LA, it's a big place.
But I need you to return to your vehicles and drive home safely. So I need you to take your fat, Shrek-looking ass back to your vehicle and drive the fuck home to Fiona.
Hold up.
Shrek exists in this world? How in the fuck does Shrek exist in this world? Why would Shrek exist in this world? It doesn't make any sense. Forgetting the fact that this would mean that DreamWorks exists in this world, which means, sadly, the 9 Realms would go on to exist as well. Fuck you, movie. But think about what Shrek was supposed to be. Shrek is supposed to be the anti-Disney character. Where back in the 90s, Disney characters were rather clean-cut, friendly, super nice. Shrek was gross and obnoxious. He would fart and burp all the time, and even make jokes about killing people sometimes. Disney characters don't do that stuff. At least, mostly. Pumbaa was like the only exception for a while. Now, in our universe, we like Shrek because he was different. He was edgy. You didn't see that kind of thing in an animated movie back then. But in a world like Bright, where ogres are real, according to the wiki, Shrek would probably be seen as a racist stereotype. I mean, think about it. If you were an ogre, would you want Shrek to be how others see you? Probably in the same way you wouldn't want Orcs to be a stand-in for you. Even Chance the Rapper called out that bullshit. Also, kinda hilarious how our main character, who's supposed to be going through an arc about not being racist, is still being racist over an hour into the film. Like, has he even learned anything throughout this whole film so far? Yeah, we just had that gas station scene, but this kinda spits in the face of that.
This is a film with characters that you like, with character arcs. They go on a journey. You know, from the beginning to the end of the film, they're different characters. They actually grow through things. Dare I say it again, it's the hero's journey. You have good versus evil. It's very clear good versus evil. You have meaningful heroism and self-sacrifice.
Dude, do you even understand what the hero's journey is? Because let me tell you something, Ward is certainly not going through that.
The importance of making your characters three-dimensional can't really be overstated. As an example from comics, a one-dimensional character is where it's either a hero or a villain. It's a goodie or a baddie. You don't need to know anything about them other than that. They don't have to have motivations. They're just a good guy or a bad guy. All of the bad guy's schemes, they can be explained by the fact that he's a bad guy. This is one-dimensional characterization. There's really nothing to them. They don't resemble human beings. They just have one slight cosmetic flaw to make them seem more realistic. If you want a three-dimensional character, then you have to take that much, much further. You have to have a character where you know them from the inside out, where you know why they do things. You know all of the elements in their life that have made them the character that they are, so that they have complete agency, so that they have their own agendas. That is how three-dimensional characters behave.
Can you name a single thing that he actually organically learns by the end of this film? I don't even know what his arc is supposed to be now. Compared to all the other cops, he's like the least racist person of them all. It's made perfectly clear in the opening he doesn't like Jacoby, not because he's an orc, but because of all the bullying that comes with it. He's literally the only cop in the LAPD who didn't really care that he was an orc. Now, I know that's not saying much, he's still pretty racist himself, but considering the others would be perfectly fine with just committing a full-on genocide of the orcs, Ward is definitely the best of a bad bunch. But there's never a moment in the movie where he truly realizes that he was wrong about orcs. If anything, his prejudice about them is correct because they're always threatening him, they kidnap him here, and then almost kill him. At this point, I'm fucking confused. Is Ward actually in the wrong for assuming the worst about orcs? Sure, Jacoby is a good guy, but he's the exception, but nothing more. Again, if we saw orcs being good and friendly with the police and vice versa, then maybe it'd be believable. But...
Take your fat, Shrek-looking ass back to your vehicle and drive the fuck home to Fiona.
This movie is sending me so many mixed signals. This movie wants me to think Ward is not a racist, but then he is a racist, but the movie also wants me to not stereotype people, and yet every character is a stereotype. I honestly can't tell which side this movie would side with. Black Lives Matter or Blue Lives Matter, because it makes every cop look like racist assholes and black allegory orcs look like a bunch of thugs. Frankly, it just makes everyone look awful, with Ward and Jacoby being the only exceptions to the rule, which is not how you write both sides of the argument. Again, let's return to Zootopia, where it has, quite perhaps, one of the most three-dimensional characters of any Disney film. In the beginning of the film, Judy faces off against a fox who's bullying other kids. The fight ends with Judy getting pushed down and her face scratched up. From that point on, she develops a prejudice against all foxes. Then, later in the movie, when she meets Nick, she immediately suspects him of doing something wrong just because he's a fox. You see, right away, you can understand just why Judy is being prejudiced, because along with foxes being seen as shifty creatures by society, she also had a personal encounter with them as a kid. She has a reason for her prejudice. We then jump to later in the movie where we learn why Nick is the way he is, because of how society treated him as a kid, and where the stereotype of him being a predator caused him to be bullied. So he decided that there's no point in trying to break the stereotype, since it's never going to truly go away, thus showcasing exactly why stereotypes like this are so harmful in the first place.
If the world's only gonna see a fox as shifty and untrustworthy, there's no point in trying to be anything else.
After all their mammals are rescued, Nick and Judy have become friends, and it seems like Judy has actually gotten over her prejudice of foxes after all. But then, she was asked some questions about the case by the news, and she stated the facts.
I mean, it's not like a bunny could go savage.
Right, but a fox could, huh?
Nick, stop it. You're not like them.
Oh, there's a them now. Are you afraid of me? Do you think I might go nuts? You think I might go savage? You think I might try to eat you?
This scene is uncomfortable for all of the right reasons. You never once think that Judy is a bad person, and you can rationally understand just why she said what she said. It's true, those are the facts of the case. Now granted, they do end up being wrong later in the film, but that's besides the point. Judy blatantly stated out loud that only predators are going savage, something that Nick, a predator, would find offensive. And given how he was treated as a kid, suddenly it feels like the one person he thought he could count on is no different than the rest of society. Judy's nose twitches as Nick gets more angry with her, and he even points out that she has fox repellent. Yeah, fox repellent, not normal pepper spray. In the world of Zootopia, it's honestly fucked up that even exists. And yet, in a moment of fear, her instincts kick in, and she reaches for it. And in that moment, you realize that Judy hasn't gotten over it after all. Zootopia is amazing because it's not afraid of making its audience feel uncomfortable. It addresses a cold, terrible truth about people and prejudice, and how, in a weird way, it exists within all of us, even when you don't notice it. When you see a Muslim on a plane and you tense up a bit, you see a group of young black men and you clench your purse tighter, or when a cop is driving down your street and you think you might go to jail for something you didn't do. Even when you don't mean it to, that's how the mind functions because of how society or the media or your parents or whatever have programmed us to be weary of what's different from us. Racism and prejudice come from a place of fear for the unknown. Now, some people can be very calm and open-minded about what's different and new to them, but others tend to be more reactionary and volatile. They tend to lash out and do everything in their power to suppress and control it, be it out of fear or some other nefarious purpose. But what makes Zootopia so smart is that it wisely doesn't shame you for simply having what's instinctively there. If anything, it's an opportunity to surpass it and be better than that. It goes on to say that if we all keep an open mind and work to go beyond our differences, then society as a whole can become a better place for everyone.
And the more we try to understand one another, the more exceptional each of us will be. Look inside yourself and recognize that change starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with all of us.
Like I said before, Zootopia is everything that Bright desperately wants to be, both as a world builder and as a lesson about prejudice and racism. Yes, I am aware that Zootopia is also using allegories that arguably don't work as well as they intend, because I get it. It's one thing to hate someone for how they look, it's another to be afraid of an animal that can eat you because it might have to. Despite this hiccup though, the message is still really well felt, and the dialogue really helps sell it. Unlike this piece of shit! Where Zootopia isn't afraid to have characters who are uncomfortably three-dimensional, Bright relies on strawman fallacies and stereotypes to deliver its message. If you're like this guy, and you believe that this is a truly, genuinely deep and thought-provoking commentary on racism and prejudice, then you're a fucking idiot and you need to go touch grass. Man. And to think what started that whole fucking tangent was Shrek. Jesus. Anyway, let's get back to the movie. So Ward, Jacoby, and Tika are taken to a church where the orcs hang out, and big surprise, they want the wand. Again, they can't use it. I've beaten this point to the ground already, there's no use anymore. So they decide to shoot Jacoby and Ward, but oh! It turns out that the orc that Jacoby let go from the beginning of the movie is the gang leader's son. So because Jacoby did a service to the gang leader will recognize this and let him... Or what Jacoby did in the beginning won't mean shit. What was even the point of saving the kid if there's no emotional payoff? This is, again, basic writing 101. This is the rule of Chekhov's gun. If it doesn't affect the story or any of the characters, then either change it to where it does, or just get rid of it. This rule could honestly apply to so many things in this movie, like that homeless guy, or that Latino gang, or Ward's family, or that dead baby. Still can't get over that. Like, half of the shit in this movie is so fucking pointless. It's ridiculous. Oh, and lo and behold, Tika uses the wand to resurrect Jacoby.
Hey, wait a minute, what the hell?
Wasn't it stated earlier in this movie and on that stupid YouTube video that you need 3 wands to resurrect somebody?
Legend has it that uniting 3 wands would be a force strong enough to resurrect the Dark Lord.
Oh wait, that's just for the Dark Lord and no one else? But the Dark Lord was just a normal elf. It was the wand he had that made him powerful, right? Both the movie and the YouTube video are super vague about the Dark Lord and his dark power and stuff. So as far as we know, he was just a normal dude that had a wand, so why would you need 3 wands to bring him back? Especially when that's an arbitrary fact since we never even see 2 other wands in the film anyway. Even if Layla got her wand back, there wouldn't be any imminent threat of the Dark Lord returning yet anyway, so either this is another important detail that the screenwriter just forgot about, or this was supposed to build up to later sequels, which are definitely not happening now, since the screenwriter is a confirmed piece of shit, and I'm not kidding when I say this, because Will Smith smacked Chris Rock at the Oscars last year. Again, I'm not making that up. And suddenly, Chris Rock getting slapped like that was a necessary evil to protect us from even more pain. His noble sacrifice at the Oscars of 2022 will always be remembered. Spike will honor thee in the afterlife, Christopher Julius Rock. But yeah, Tika is able to resurrect Jacoby, and this is apparently a really big deal because it turns out there's a prophecy now. Oh, great! That means there's no more suspense in the movie because now we know they'll win no matter what. How fun! So yeah, earlier in the movie, that homeless guy was bringing up how Ward is a bright, and apparently he's been chosen, but it's the stupidest shit in the world.
Sorsenum sorhun vi banacha. Din ha bemfa buddy.
How the fuck do you even know that? Never explained. Are you surprised? I bet you're not. Not to mention it was only brought up 2 times in the movie. If it's this big of a deal, why not bring it up more? It's just so dumb. It's just another pointless thing that adds nothing to the characters and story.
He understands mythology and lore, things that are heavy and rich in mythology and lore. He understands, he's a world builder, he creates worlds, he understands fantasy.
Ah, shut up!
You're a bright? You're a fucking bright?
You knew that! You already knew that! Why the fuck are you asking that question, Ward? You already know that! You saw her use the wand earlier! You reported her to the police!
3 Adam 9, 341 Abrams. Possible bright at our location.
Does this movie have short-term memory loss or something? Like, how many things is this movie just gonna keep forgetting? Please count in the comments below. And she speaks English now?
She speaks English pretty good now, too.
Now I trust you.
That's bullshit, shit, that's bullshit, shit, that's bullshit, shit.
So I haven't talked about Tika yet in this video because she's just kind of been there with the guys, not doing anything. Like the camera will cut back to her every once in a while just to remind you that she's in the movie. But now suddenly she can speak English perfectly and she's finally telling her story to our main characters.
You're a fucking bright? Would have been nice to know that when we was getting fucked up, you know, could have had a magic helicopter take us somewhere.
That's actually a good point. Why didn't you use the wand earlier to get them out of there? Or to fight back against the Inferni? Or the Latino gang?
I only started my training. I only know a few spell words.
Well, you sure know how to blow shit up, don't you? That could have helped out at least a little bit. Forget trusting the cops. Do you not want to breathe? With that being said, though, why do you trust them now? What did they do specifically that made you trust them? Because from what I saw, these two have done nothing but lead you around to pointless locations also you guys could get shot at. If anything, this is where you trust them the least because all they've done is put you in needless danger. And with that being said, there are so many instances where speaking English or using the wand would have saved your own ass, and yet you just chose not to. You fucking idiot. Oh, and another thing. You've probably noticed ever since we met her, she's always seen acting odd. Like, there's something off about her and how she acts. I mean, look at her. Why is she walking around all wide-eyed and innocent-like? Almost like a child? Well, that's because she is a child. Or at least, she was a child. So in the original script, Tika was actually a young girl who was being trained by the Shield of Light, at the time called the Brothers of Light, to be ready to fight the Dark Lord whenever he comes back. But somewhere along the line of production, they changed this because, well, this is just speculation, but I think it went something like this. Oh shit! I just realized we can't have a kid go walking around a strip club looking at titties and shit. We'll be up to our necks in angry letters from Karens who are totally gonna watch our R-rated film. So let's just make Tika an adult instead. I mean, sure, the concept of a cult kidnapping kids to indoctrinate them is cool and all, but it's not the first cool idea we shat on today, so it'll be fine. And you know what? It would be fine. If they actually updated the character, they changed it to where the character is an adult, and yet they didn't rewrite her as an adult. Her character's still a kid. I don't fault the actress one bit for this. She's just doing what she was told to do. But seriously, how do you forget to update this character when you change her age? A 20-year-old is not gonna act the same way as an 8-year-old would. I shouldn't have to tell you that. Has this guy, like, never been outside before? Oh wait, yeah, he has. Maybe it'd be better if he did stay inside.
They're aiding the return of the Dark Lord, so he can slaughter billions and enslave the survivors to serve him in a new age of magic.
Just some Illuminati shit.
They're Inferni. They destroyed the Illuminati 100 years ago.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. I'd love to see that. But we're not going to, are we? So it turns out Tika was a member of the Inferni, but she escaped and was being protected by the Shield of Light. So Layla gave some random bitch her wand so she could go and kill her. But during the fight, Tika gets a hold of it and manages to defend herself. So basically, this whole movie is happening now because Layla decided to be a fucking idiot and gave the wand away to some random assassin, and that assassin failed. Why did you give her the wand in the first place? Couldn't you just send your normal assassins after her instead? Again, it's not like brights are bulletproof or anything. This wand is crucial to your mission, and yet you just gave it away. Sorry, but that's really fucking stupid. And I can see people defending the show already. Well, Layla didn't know her assassin would fail. She's just that confident in her people's abilities. That's a sign that she's actually a great antagonist. I wish I had the pot that you guys are smoking to come to that conclusion. There is nothing smart or confident about this. She has assassins that could have gotten the job done without risking the wand at all. This is like trying to kill a mouse with an atom bomb, and yet you somehow missed the mouse. It defies all basic logic, and just like that, the Inferni, and especially Layla, have just proven that they are the most incompetent villains I've ever seen. And now they feel the need to overcompensate their lack of actual intelligence by being super edgy and murdering babies and shit. So Tika is now suddenly dying from, I guess, using the spell to bring back Jacoby? I think? They never explain exactly what's wrong with her, but I guess that makes sense. Jesus. It took an hour and a half for something to actually make sense in this movie. And we only have like 20 minutes left. Oh, thank God.
Jirak was unblooded, like me, an orc that nobody cared about. He united the 9 armies, and they defeated the Dark Lord.
Wait a fuck! Who the fuck is Jirak? Why are we only hearing about him now? With only 20 minutes left of the movie! So, get this, guys. Jirak is the one who's responsible for defeating the Dark Lord all those years ago. Oh, and he was also an orc. So wait a minute. Wait a goddamn minute. So you're telling me that an orc was the one who saved the world? How come nobody brings this up throughout the whole movie? Whenever people are shitting on orcs and saying they want to kill them all, how come not a single soul brings up this Jirak guy? Sure, the other orcs joined the Dark Lord, but he didn't. According to that YouTube video, he was the one who united the 9 armies against the Dark Lord. And he was also the one who defeated him with his own wand?
In 2109, Jirak and the Dark Lord finally faced each other in the war for every soul. History forever changed as an orc grasped the wand with his bare hands, surviving and finally wielding it to defeat the Dark Lord. Jirak was hailed as the first Bright, a being who was able to handle the world's most powerful weapon, the magic wand.
Wait. Jirak was a Bright? And not just any Bright, but the first Bright of them all? So orcs can be brights in this universe? How come no one brings that up? Can dwarves be brights too? Or ogres or whatever? This is just so ludicrous. Why is everybody racist to orcs when it was an orc that saved the world? And what about the elves? The Dark Lord was an elf. There are still elves that support him. Elves are viewed as the rich elite in this world, so what? No one's racist to them? This movie loves to pretend that the reason why there's no racism to anyone else in this universe is because orcs take the brunt of it all. Like, this movie actually thinks racists only hate one race and that's it. It's like, oh, you want to hate black people? That's cool, but you can't hate Asians or Jews or anyone else, okay? That's it. That's your one race you're racist to, okay, pal? It's so weird that other than the graffiti in the opening, no one, not a fucking soul, has brought up Jirak once. You'd figure this is an important part to the conversation when it comes to racism against orcs. And that comes with forgetting the fact that he's also the first Bright. Now, to be fair, maybe no one else brought up Jirak because they didn't even know about him. Hell, maybe the elves who are in charge of society purposefully hid that information from the populace in order to save face. Now there's an idea. Have the elves purposefully spread misinformation about the war using magic over the course of centuries to where everyone thinks that the orcs orchestrated it all. They cover up the truth about the Dark Lord so they themselves don't get demonized at the cost of another race, with only a small handful of people knowing the full truth, the Inferni being some of them. Have the Magic Task Force, which is led by an elf, want to defeat the Inferni not because of the threat of the Dark Lord, but because if they succeed in bringing him back, then the world will know that the elves lied to it. I mean, I hate to bring up this stupid kitty animated baby movie again. fucking Zootopia did this too. Yes, Mayor Bellwether being a twist villain in the last 5 minutes was honestly pretty lame, but with that being said, it still felt realistic and believable. Why wouldn't the powerful want to remain in power? And what better way to stay in power than by exploiting people's fears and making them believe there's a bad guy out there and they have the solution to it.
Prey fears predator and you stay in power?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's happened before in our history, and knowing how we are, it'll probably happen again. I want to be wrong, but I know I'm right. But sadly, we can't actually go down that route because not only would that apply actual logic to the story and themes of the world, but it would also require the screenwriter to live in the real world. So Ward and Jacoby decide to go back to where they found Tika because there's a magic fountain that'll heal her injuries. But wouldn't you guess it, the Inferni is waiting for them and ambush them. Because they somehow just knew that our main characters would go back there. This movie has no brain. This movie's got no fucking brain at all. Like, yeah, I know the fountain's there and it's the only way to save Tika, but that doesn't mean the Inferni would expect it or know Tika would have to go back there to heal at some point. How would they expect it would come to that? Imagine if they actually made it to the feds and the Inferni is just sitting at the hideout waiting for the heroes who will never show up. Again, the Inferni are just such fucking idiots, dude. I swear to God. So yeah, a boring, dark, and poorly edited fight later, and Ward and Jacoby defeat the Inferni. Again, it's so hilarious how the assassins were able to wipe out an entire gang earlier, but now they can't even go up against two cops who are, again, injured and exhausted. Like, I get they're the heroes and they gotta win in the... You know what? I give up. I give up. If it ends the movie faster, then I'll allow it. Fuck it.
Good work.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
How? She took 2 shotgun blasts to the chest. So, wait, are brights bulletproof after all? Honestly, this is one of the least stupid things about this movie. Okay, Layla, we get it. The wand also serves as your personal dildo. You can stop being weird now. There you go. Don't actually kill him. Just knock him to the side so he can still win the fight. Yeah, I love it when a final fight is super contrived and not well thought out at all. I mean, Zootopia had a pretty cool final chase scene on that train, so, you know, just more evidence that that movie's better.
What the hell are you?
I'm a warrior, a priestess, a lover. I am whatever my lord needs me to be.
Who the fuck is your Dark Lord anyway? The fuck does he even want? The YouTube video didn't explain it. The movie doesn't explain it. It's all just so vague and unexplained, and I'm getting this sense of deja vu, like I've talked about this already. Did I? I think this movie is finally melting my brain into pudding. Gross orc color pudding.
Surulu. Bolivi Surulu. It's time to come home.
Wait, you want to take her home? I thought you wanted to kill her. You sent multiple assassins to kill her, and you even tried to kill her yourself earlier. But now you want to just take her home.
Nick, if you were aiming at the wand, that was a really good shot.
You should have gone for the head.
I can't. I'm out.
Oh, this fight could have ended 10 times already if any of the characters just used common fucking sense. It's baffling. It's fucking baffling. I have never seen a more pathetic group of characters in all my life. Just someone fucking end the fight. Oh, and he's a bright. What a shocker.
Backwater. The war word is backwater.
Wait, there's a magic word to it? You mean to tell me that you needed a magic word this whole time to use the wand? Well, first of all, that's bullshit because there's multiple instances in this film where people use the wand without any magic word. Secondly, what's the point of blowing people up when they touch it when they still wouldn't be able to use it anyway? I can accept the magic word. It's fine. I've seen Harry Potter. I get it. What doesn't make sense is the wand just blowing you up just because you're not a bright. Just have the magic word and that's it. You don't need to blow people up. It just makes everyone in this movie look fucking batshit insane. With a magic word, you can guess it. Figure it out maybe with some basic research. But blowing up? Everyone in this movie has just been cool with that possibility.
When you touch a wand, with your bare hand. And don't explode. You die, learn the truth about yourself. If I had a wand, I'd try.
Shut the fuck up! You look like you drink your own pee! So Ward uses the wand to kill Layla and ends up blowing up the building. Jacoby, being the only somewhat likable character in this film, goes back in to save Ward. The other orcs see this and thus declare him bloodied, which in this world means that an orc has earned his stripes. But, quick question, why wasn't Jacoby the Bright? I mean, think about it. We learned earlier that Jirok was not only an orc who was a Bright, but he was also the first Bright, right? Wouldn't that have made the message about surpassing stereotypes and prejudice so much stronger if he assumed the role of a Bright? A role that's become reserved only for elves and very rarely humans? It would have been way more satisfying to see him defeat Layla, walk out the building holding the wand, and the other orcs see that he's a Bright. Basically, swap Ward and Jacoby in the last half hour. Have Ward be the one who's resurrected by Tika, and Jacoby be spared because he himself spared the son of the gang leader. Then later, have Jacoby be the Bright and be seen by everyone, not for what he is, but who he is. Now, not everyone would accept him right away because of the stigma that's still present, but in an act of good faith, he would surrender the wand to the feds to show that he has no intention of using it, that he intends to remain a cop to serve his community, to continue to prove that he's more than what others say he is. You know, like in Zootopia.
Alright, I get it!
So Ward and Jacoby are taken to the hospital, the wand is recovered by the Magic Task Force, and then when they go in to interview Ward and Jacoby, we get a recap of everything that just happened in the movie. It's not like a 30-second gag or anything, it's like a full recap. For 3 minutes.
Everything that happened with Brown and Hicks and Pollard and Ching, they wanted Officer Ward to shoot me.
Gangsters showed up and it just went really sideways from that point.
Jesus, I watched this shit already. I know what happened. Just shut the fuck up already. Just end the movie, please. Thank you. God. Jesus Christ. I could write this shit. I played that Alan Moore clip in the beginning of this video for a reason. Because it's so fucking sad. The problem is, I'm not too sure what's sadder. The fact that someone actually got paid to make this shit? Or the fact that so many people went up in arms trying to defend this shit? It honestly makes my blood boil. This was the movie. This is the one critics are wrong about. This broken, annoying, preachy, stupid, obnoxious, piss poorly thought out, ugly to look at, insufferable waste? Look, I get it. Not every movie has to be a masterpiece. Sometimes you just gotta have your junk food. I get it. But this cannot be the movie, people. It can't. It just can't. If it was a Bayformer movie or a Jurassic World movie, then I get it. But come on! You can't look me in the eye and tell me there is anything of worth in this. At all. Other than good makeup, some decent chemistry with its leads, and one good scene in a gas station bathroom, which I can find with any half-decent porno, this movie is just an utter insult to the word film. It's awful. It's broken in every conceivable way. From the world building, to the characters, to the pacing, to the action, the lighting, the editing, the themes, the message. It's all just such a waste! A waste of what is honest to God, an incredible concept. I love this idea with all my heart. But this movie does nothing with it. The concept of magic and mankind coexisting together in this movie has about as much depth as a Fortnite skin. The characters are unbearable. They're either obnoxious assholes or complete brain-dead idiots. The message involving racism and prejudice is terrible. It's honestly really offensive in how this movie depicts its stereotypes. All just so the movie can say, see, they're not like what you think they are. It's honestly incredible how an animated kids movie about a bunny rabbit has way more maturity, complexity, depth, good humor, likable and relatable characters, stunning visuals, and a world that I would just love to dive into. Where Zootopia feels like a world that thought about everything inside and out, Bright feels like a cheap paint job on a rusty old truck that can't even drive anywhere. The world of magic in this movie is purely just an aesthetic and nothing more. It serves one purpose, and that is so the filmmakers can say, it's not your average buddy cop movie. What a fucking waste. It's embarrassing. It's truly embarrassing. I feel so bad for all the hardworking people who wasted their actual talent on this movie. All the makeup artists who didn't get the credit they deserve. Actors who were given practically nothing to work with. And worst of all, were possibly exposed to the sexual deviant that is Max Landis. Bright is just an utter waste of an incredible idea that really could have been something special if the people behind it just gave a single ounce of a shit. It's an incredible idea that frankly, I would have given a shit about. And if this piece of shit can make millions of dollars writing this trite, then what the fuck am I doing with my life? Oh yeah, I'm just making YouTube videos. Well, at least they pay the bills. As I said in the beginning, Bright is not the worst movie I've ever seen, nor is it the worst movie I've reviewed. But coming from someone who has had this idea burning in the back of his head for years, and then to see it come to life in a terrible way that is ugly, insulting, pandering, stupid garbage, and then to have any genuine criticism of the film be met with this?
And the fact that the audience are watching this and going, you know what, by and large, I enjoyed this, basically again highlights the fact that modern professional movie critics, man, I don't know what it is, but they're just not a reliable source of information on films anymore.
It really is the perfect recipe for my anger. I hate this movie with every fiber of my being. As a filmmaker, as a film lover, and frankly, just someone who knows they can do better. And to anyone who just tells me, well, if you hate it so much, then why'd you dedicate so much time to it? Why not just ignore it? Well, to paraphrase what Alan Moore said, the good stuff can lead to plagiarism, but it's the bad stuff that can lead you to improve yourself. And that is why I watched Bright again. It's why I reviewed Bright. And that is why I consider the movie Bright an insult to film.